Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's Mark Bennett again. The last video we went over our August pay here with Swift Transportation. So in this video I want to go over the pay that we made in September. I'm going to try and continue doing this every month so you guys can get an idea of what I make here at Swift, and that'll also give you an idea of what you can possibly make here at Swift. Now keep in mind I have 20 years experience. Swift verified 10 years of it. A lot of it was me being an owner operator. I'm not sure why they couldn't verify that, as I had my own company, but they still verified 10 years, so I'm getting pretty decent pay. So the first check we're going to go over is we're going to go over for the check that we paid out on 9/1, September 1st of this year. So September 1st of this year, I'm looking down here at the computer just so I can get everything out. I ended up having 2,442 miles. We went from Pleasant Corinne. Now at this point I am on the Corinne, Utah Walmart dedicated account, but I am still surge. So meaning that extra help. I haven't came on as part of the account yet. So our first load we did was Corinne to Pleasant Grove, Utah. Then we went down to Linden, Utah, and then Orem, Utah, Spanish Forks, Utah. Then we picked up at Spanish Forks, Utah, and then brought back to Corinne. Our next load for the same pay period, we went from Corinne to Boise, Idaho, delivered at the Boise Walmart. Then we went to Meridian, Idaho, and delivered. Then we went to Boise, Idaho again and delivered. Then we went to Glen Ferry, Idaho. And then we went and we picked up in Caldwell, Idaho. Then we took that load from Caldwell, Idaho to Santa Quinn, Utah, which we delivered the next morning. And then we came back to Corinne, Utah. Then we went from Corinne to Riverton, Utah, and over to Hurricane, Utah, and then we came back to Corinne again because, we always end up back at the DC. And then the last load here, and it looks like this, actually we got the full pay for it, so it wasn't one of the advances, so it means it ended before we got back to the terminal before Sunday at midnight, was a Corinne to Orem, Utah, to Provo, Utah, Spanish Forks, Utah, Price, Utah, and then back to Corinne. So we ended up having a total of 2,442 miles for this week's pay. Now we had a gross pay of $1,946.59. And the breakdown on that would be $1,122 for production, $81 for rest pay, and $742 for our hourly pay. After all our deductions, taxes, insurance, dental insurance, and all that, we had a direct deposit into our account of $1,410.74. I'll set that right up here so we can get a visual of that. Next, we're going to go on to our second check of September, and that would be for September 8th of this year. Now for this check, this was a really good one because I was still on surge and I qualified for my performance bonus the month before. So on this week, we had a load to where we went from Corinne to Riverdale again, over to Layton, over to Ogden, and then back to Corinne. Then we did Corinne to Cedar Hills, Utah, to Provo, Utah, and back. Then we went to Colorado. We did a Grand Junction delivery, a Grand Junction delivery, a Grand Junction delivery, delivered to Delta, Colorado, delivered to Montrose, Colorado. And then we went to Sugarville, Utah, picked up eggs from the egg farm and brought that back here to the DC. Then our next load, we went to Burley, Idaho, Twin Falls, Idaho, and then Twin Falls, Idaho. We picked up at Twin Falls and brought that back, and that would be a Lamb and Wesson. And we brought that back to Corinne. Then we did just a little short local to help out. We did Corinne to Orem, Utah, and then back to Corinne. Then we did Ephraim, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's Ephraim, Utah. Then we went to Richfield, Utah, and then we came back. And then we did a Salt Lake City, Utah. Then we went down to Springville, Utah, and then we came back. And that gave us a total of 2,473 miles. Now, remember, we qualified for a bonus back in August, and that pays out the second week of the following month. So this is the week we get that. So we had a gross pay of $2,833.81. And the way that broke down was we had $1,262 in production pay, $92.79 in rest pay. We had another $770 in hourly pay. And then our performance bonus for August was $707.38. Now, after all our deductions, we took home $1,987.50. We'll also put that up here so we can keep a running tally of what we made in the month of September. So now let me go on over. And our next check will have been on the 15th of September. So this month wasn't as good. This week wasn't as good as the last week, but I did have that $700 performance bonus. And that is one of the things, if you go into a dedicated account with Swift, you lose your production bonus. And your production bonus is basically, if you drive 9,000 miles or more, you get 2 cents a mile. Then if your fuel mileage is 7 miles to a gallon or more, you get another penny. Also, if your safety score is below 20, you get another penny. And then if you're platinum or diamond, you get another 1 or 2 cents. So it comes out to anywhere from 3 cents to 6 or 7 cents per mile that you drove for the month. And then that'll pay out the second paycheck of the following month. But for this check here, we went to Chubbuck, Idaho, then we went to Meridian, Idaho, then we came back, went to North Logan, Utah, Meridian, Idaho, Caldwell, Idaho, and then Ontario, Oregon, and then we came back. Then we did Vernal, Utah, and came back, and that was all we did for that week. So we did 1,828 miles total. And our pay on this was, our gross pay was $1,324.05. And the breakdown on that was $574.64 in production pay, $59.50 in rest pay, and $689.91 in hourly pay. And out of that $1,300, our check we took home was $962.04. And again, we'll put that right up here. So we're going to move on to our next check. And I believe September we ended up having 1, 2, 3, 5 checks. So we're going to have one on the 22nd. And this one was this wasn't really a great week for me. I went home on this one. So the only load we had paid was, we had a Corinne, Utah to Las Vegas. And then I parked my truck at the terminal and I flew home. We ended up with 958 miles because it's to Las Vegas and back. And our pay on this one, our gross pay was $581.52. And the breakdown would be production $436.87, $24.83 for our rest pay, and another $119.82 in hourly pay. And out of that $581.52, $350.97 was deposited to our account. So, and then the last check, and we'll put that right up here as well. Our last check, which had been 9/29, September 29th. This one's going to be a really good check. I stayed home. I came back and I worked the entire week. And what we did on this one we went from Corinne to Logan to North Logan and back. Then we went to Salt Lake City, Park City and back. Then we went to Payson, Utah, Cedar City, Utah, Washington, Utah, and then came all the way back to Corinne. Then we went to Riverdale and Centerville, Utah, and came back. We went to Rexburg, Idaho, and came back. We went to Napa, Idaho, Meridian, Idaho, Twin Falls, Idaho. Then we went to Sandy, Utah, and Pleasant Grove, Utah, and came back. And then we got a partial pay on our Las Vegas load. We did a multi-stop. So we did a Mesquite, Nevada delivery, a North Las Vegas delivery, a North Las Vegas delivery, a North Las Vegas delivery where we finaled out. Then we deadheaded down to Colton, California to pick up a load coming back. But that load we didn't get back to Corinne by Sunday at midnight. So we only got paid a portion on that one. And they paid us an advance of $230 on that run. So we ended up with 2,247 miles. And for our last check in September, we had a gross of $2,001.73. And after all deductions, we had a total of $1,444.48 deposited into our account. And we're going to put that, we'll put that right up here as well. Thank you. And as you can see, we make really good money over here at Swift, no matter what anyone tries to tell you. It's a great company. It's a good company come to make money. They let you go home when you need to be home. If you need a couple extra days off, they let you stay a couple extra days off. This is just the money I made in September. We'll work on doing a video for what we made in October. And then at the end of November, we'll do this every month so we can keep you up to date on what we're making. And hopefully this will help you make the decision to make the change or make the start of your career with Swift Transportation.